25 years since our first run together. 1900 and nothing.
It's a long time.
What you doing? Getting mixed up with her.
You are marvelous, Rose. We were married Sunday.
Benedict, thank you for your time, man. One of the things that I love your character is we know there is a bully from the beginning and everything. But at the moment that he opened up to another person, something happened. How do you think that he needed this, or it was something that was developing with time with this, with the character, with Peter, that you create this bond and want some part of the movie, where you were so close for yourself, so mean, like pushing people away, and at the moment that you allow this person in your life, something happened.
Yeah, something happens. Exactly. I mean, I think that is why it's in a way a tragedy, and Phil's tragedy. He doesn't get to fully live out the experience of being loved and being able to love, and just as something like that is taking root, it's taken away. But yeah, it's true, and I think he's all the armory that he uses to protect himself from his inauthentic secret, the thing he can't express for fear that it will destroy him, would have destroyed him in that society, in that era. I think he's come to actually believe, and he's sort of forgotten in a way a lot of his inner nature, apart from some moments that we see him exploring in what was called the sacred place in the script, this moment of privacy, both physically and psychologically, where he's free. And I think, it's something that drew me and Jane very, very close in our empathy of this character. He's the hardest to like in the way, but the most important to understand because of that, because of where this ability to be cruel and to bully and to terrorize comes from. And it's a place of deep insecurity. He's a child in arrested development, but in a highly skilled adult male body. And there's a core of him that's completely unfulfilled. And I think that is tragic.
One of the things that I love about the movie is it's a creepy movie. It's a mental, I don't want to say thriller, but because it's a slow burning film. And your character is the opposite of Phil characters. Like, how do you guys handle it with the director? Like, how do you become with this chemistry to he being the strong character and you being like the opposite with him, and the whole movie like travels between these two waves of like energies?
Well, unlike most films, we had around 2 weeks rehearsals beforehand to obviously run through the scenes, but Jane has some sort of unorthodox exercises, improvisations that we all did, and that helped a ton. I mean, there's always something that's kind of it's fun to break a character down and go over the script by yourself, but it's never the same experience as when you're actually working across from someone. And so it was just so much fun to sort of to have that time and to just find the dance between these two people that obviously been sleeping in the same bedroom for all of their lives pretty much, so they know each other better than anyone else.
Hi, Kodi, how are you, man?
Good, man. How are you doing?
I'm scared about you now.
You are?
Yeah.
Well, you get to meet the real me now and decipher that for yourself.
I hope so.
Okay.
Because I never watched the trailer. So for me, it was kind of surprise, everything that happened. And one of my favorite sequences is when you stood up who you are as a character. It's when you walk in front of everyone and you see a nest and you just walk by. So to me, that was really important because it marked your character. How do you develop this character from the beginning to be this fragile person, but then it evolves like in the psyches of many people?
Of course.
And with the ending there, it's great.
I mean, obviously a great deal of credit I have to give to Jane Campion for guiding me and rather, pushing me to explore new avenues, new approaches to my technique and character development, and to surrender, anything that my pride had to say about it. It was a really, really beautiful experience to be able to do that. And specifically for Jane, there was those landmark scenes like the one that you talk
Yes.
about, and that was something very important to us to convey the right message. So we had 2 weeks of rehearsals that sometimes we would do, with the rest of the ensemble, and then other times it would be just solo, one-on-one, and that was one that we put a lot of time in to express the right message there.
Cool scene when you guys sleeping together. He goes under the sheet and you stay up.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
language, it's so powerful. And that's my question with you. You have barely like lines in the movie because your character is so punished that it's mostly how you react to things. How do you build this emotion with your face, with your eyes, with your complexities? Because you were so worried about your son, but he was good. He was taking care of himself. Where you were so concerned about it, about this relationship that he was building with Phil. But everything is in your face, in your manners. I love that. That's why I was smiling because
Thank you.
I went back to those moments. So how do you build these things with the camera, this relationship with the camera?
Well, because me and Phil Burbank, Benedict, don't really have many scenes together, I kind of built my own psychological war zone in a way, of things from my past or just what I'm feeling emotionally in the moment or through music. So I kind of build a lot of things, a little like witch's brew of things where I can pick things out of my own self or what's around me and build on that for each scene, because really you can do a lot of work, which is so important at what grounds you in your role, but then to be present in what the moment is, I think is the most important and valuable. So the more in touch with what's happening, I think the more alive that feels. And it was a pretty, like the vibe on set was pretty respectful and quiet. And I felt like everyone, wants to be there for Jane and do the best they can for Jane too, because she's such an amazing filmmaker.
I personally feel that your character is also a victim by the way he was raised in that moment. And
that era. And like you say, the way he's raised, that's
That's what I'm
really
saying.
acute observation, because I think, his parents had such expectations for
Exactly.
him, And he's still acting out. He's still that teenager going, you don't know who I am. You have no idea who I am.
That sequence with the apple when he arrives
Yes,
late.
yes.
This is a form of rebellion.
Petulance, in a way, like an adolescent. But
Exactly.
I think this is the arrested development in him and that unresolved relationship with the authority figures in his life. There's only one authority in his life that he truly
Bronco.
respected and had time for and loved, which was Bronco Henry. This absent figure that's recounted a lot in the film, this sort of long shadow that's cast by him is really profoundly important to the story. And I think, for many reasons, Phil starts to become Peter's Bronco by the end of the film.
Your character, like I say, evolves, but it doesn't evolve like drastically. It evolved with Phil. How, do you think that Phil bigger mistake it was like letting you getting closer to him?
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
his character was like a really impenetrable. Like he was, nobody was to get into him. But you did it. Your character did it in a certain manipulated way.
There's something beautiful I discovered early on in reading the script and the book, is that, as you say, Peter himself doesn't necessarily change too much as a character. He doesn't have a transformative arc. If anything, he's like a chameleon, and he can take on different looks and look as if he's naive and things like this. But it's really our perspective that dances around him and tells the story of who he is and who he always has been, which I saw as a really cool challenge to kind of take on as an actor, to keep so much internalized, but to express such a sensible character that really is extremely powerful on the inside. And I do agree. The problem that Phil makes is kind of lowering his boundaries around Peter because he suspects that he's harmless.
I wonder what little lady made these.
I did, sir.
One of the things that I love and I was really surprised is part of your character is the things the characters do, like cutting, castrating, how hard was for you to train to do all those things, or you did it before?
I did. I had to. No, I hadn't done it before I got this role, and Jane and the production, Tanya, etc., were incredibly helpful to facilitate me with anything I felt insecure about. So I went to Montana and I lived the life on a ranch for about 2.5 weeks, and I was hosted by this amazing cowboy called Randy and his wife Jen, and he's a musician, but he's also done it all. He's also a profoundly gifted rope maker and roper.
I can tell. One of the things that also I love about your character is like it's really like fragile at the beginning, but he's still fragile, but in a different kind of like being fragile. And you are your mom. This is the love of your life, and you know what she's going through. And even there's a sequence and a detail when you hide a bottle of whiskey that she has. How do you develop this unspoken relationship with Kristen Dunst, because you guys barely talk during the film, but you have the bonding that you guys have. It crosses the screen to us.
Of course, it's two things. First of all, I would just say that when you meet Kirsten and Jesse, it's really easy to connect with them off the bat. They're just really grounded, humble, beautiful human beings. And so right there, our relationship was from the get-go really great. But also, my mother, she's a single mother, and I have a really strong relationship with her. And, our roles are constantly changing. Sometimes I'm crying on her shoulder, and sometimes vice versa. And I saw that dynamic played out in the relationship and dynamic between Peter and Rose. So if anything, it was something I could kind of pull from and express and immortalize in film,
Kodi, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I love the movie. Really, your character is really important. Even that you you disappeared for like 30, 40 minutes. And then your presence is not about physically. It's about the things you do and how you evolve at the end. So congratulations. Great character. I loved it.
Thank you so much. I'm glad it all conveyed. Thank you.
My pleasure. A couple of weeks ago, I watched your new movie, The Electric Life of Louis Wayne. And then I see this character. And it's so different. Yeah. How is for you to get out of a character like this and then put in the suit of a Phil that was the total opposite? I feel like Louis Wayne is like your brother in this movie, like the opposite, like, a guy who always say yes and no and everything. Yeah. How do you wear a suit from a weak character and then you get this strong character?
I think... I see what you're saying. There's a huge difference. I think there is a huge strength, though, to Louis Wayne. I mean, I think he endured a lot during a very long life of somebody who found it very difficult to be in this world, profoundly difficult at times, and suffered mental health episodes, which really crippled him. And I think he stayed the distance, and the love he put out in his work came back to him. And there's sort of resolution and resolve and something that makes you very happy about his end in that film. Whereas here, I think it's something that Phil is cheated of. He doesn't get to live his full self. Yeah. And I think, as an actor, I definitely search out challenges. I definitely try to vary what I do. And it just happens to be because of COVID and other things that these two films are coming out at the same time. It's a nice coincidence. And I feel, every role I just try to dissolve into. And wherever it takes me, I feel it's important to understand a character's vulnerability, but also its strengths. And I feel both of them carry those in very, very different ways, admittedly, but they both have those aspects to them. I don't believe one's weak and one's strong, for sure.
Thank you so much for your time, man.
You're welcome.
Great job.
Thank you.
If there's a character who evolved from being this powerful owner of a business to in the middle be this susceptible woman and then react to everything around her, I think it's a really great job as an actress. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So guys, thank you for your time.